709 days of making my cold showers colder, stepping in, being my best, showing up as that 1000% best self. So this is what we're doing. Today, we're about 20 degrees, 21 degrees, between 20 and 21 degrees Celsius coming out of the natural shower. I'm cooling it with my Cryo Shower Ice Blast. So I've got 6 blocks in there. It's been pre-charging for about 60 minutes. So I'm going to get a really invigorating activation phase. And then as we move from the activation phases, we start to bring the nervous system under control through nervous system regulation. And once I have that control of the nervous system where it sort of calms down, to stop firing and wiring, my brain is not constantly switching and focusing on the cold and all the different sensations and the currents that are going around the body. And then once I've created that space, that clarity, I'm then going to obviously start priming my nervous system. So for that 1000% best self, how I want to show up, maybe the things that I want to go and do today, having that health, that vitality, that strength. So anyway, I'm going to jump on in there. I've got 3 minutes of exposure set plus 1 minute, so 4 minutes in total. The first minute's all about just trying to bring my nervous system under that control through that activation. So first of all, it's going to be very cold, and then we're going to go through. I did think about playing some games of just seeing how long I could hold my head underneath the shower, but I was hoping that would have already been moved and the angle would change slightly, so it'd be much easier to shoot that, because I do prefer getting the initial exposure on my face, front facing rather than back facing. For me, I get a bit more of an activation from the front, especially as it kicks off all around the face, over the top of the head. And then I obviously direct some of that flow just by leaning my head forward so it runs down the back of my neck. I then obviously focus on the front, getting the activation, the collarbones underneath the arms, that lymphatic drainage down on the front of the stomach. Once I've done the front of the stomach, I'll turn to my back. So anyway, let's get on in there. Whoa. Alright, try to get rid of all this soap. So, inlet chamber, that burnt out. It burnt out about 30 seconds towards the end. So the majority of the time, so the first activation phase, we drop down, straight down to 5 degrees. Over that first minute, it finds its equilibrium point. So it finds the first sort of stage, which is about, it settled around 10, 11 degrees. Then it moved, and it stays 10, so it stays from like 11 degrees up until about, it was 3.5 minutes in, where that first chamber then burnt out. And you notice that because it stayed steady between sort of 1 to 2 degrees that whole time. And then that last 30 seconds, it went 13 degrees. And then just as we finished, it was at 15 degrees. And that's because this burns out. And when it burns out, that's gone. The cooling then is only happening on one chamber, in one chamber. But I was trying to hurry up there. I most probably went about 30 seconds over the actual whole 4 minutes. But that's what we've got left after 4.5 minutes. And I was just trying to keep it consistent to compare it to yesterday. Now, I had, I think about a 90-minute, it was about a 90-minute to 2-hour window where that pre-cooling happened. That's because I was writing the newsletter. And the only slight difference that I noticed is the longer the pre-charging, that first activation phase, it stays a little bit colder for longer. But then what the sort of offset is, or what the offset is that then the temperature that it held. So right now it was holding very steady around that 12, 13 degrees. Whereas before, where I had that extended pre-charging, it was holding steady around 13, 14 degrees. Not much difference, but it's very subtle and very, very little noticeable. So I'm going to dive deeper into it. I'm hoping I'm going to get something set up here so that you can start to see that. But listen, step into the cold, be your best, show up as you, that 1000% best self. Have an amazing day. All the love. Bye-bye.